Cool. So, how are you doing, gentlemen?
We're doing well.
Oh, yes, it's great. Things are very busy here.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, it's very busy and it feels odd and somewhat a little scary because we know so many of our brethren through the industry are not busy. So
Yeah,
if we feel guilty to say that we're busy sometimes, but
yeah,
we're also very proud of our workforce here because we are busy and uh, take that as a testament to the work that we've done in the past that we're able to find some motion forward.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
good. That's the same for us. We are busy. We are really busy. We have job for around 6 months in front of us. A permanent installation in the theater and Massey Hall in Toronto. We have a interesting project with that, with the new kind of truss with the conical system and plus mini installation in the small theater, things like that. It's
Yeah, we're seeing mostly permanent install work, uh,
Yeah.
work that we had signed contracts, international work that we had signed contracts on prior to the COVID shutdown in March. So those
Mhm.
are coming to a close now. We're about 11 months since then, and or 10 months since then, and they're starting to come to close out. But we have been able to find other work, not in our typical core market that
Yeah.
the Scenic Technologies operates in, but we had a couple of projects pop up immediately in April, late March and early April. We went to build face shields for the medical industry.
Okay. Okay.
We took our tooling that we had here and our union staff that was on layoff, and we were able to bring in some, socially distanced, safe crews to work on building face shields for a medical provider in New York City, and ended up in the end about 132,000 face shields.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really good to not only be moving and working and be open, even though in a very reduced capacity, but to be feeling like we're contributing to the effort at the same time,
Yeah.
which is very helpful. Morale wise, it was very helpful.
Oh, that's good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, for that 6 weeks of the shutdown from New York, it was pretty depressing seeing the lights off, in the building. But to walk in and then have the lights back on and actually doing something again, they gave everybody hope. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, no, we're coming back.
Yeah.
Maybe not right this second, but we're
Mhm.
definitely coming.
Yeah,
That's
I was still coming to the shop almost every day as the general manager. It's still a 250,000 square foot facility, so if you have a water leak or anything like that, it could go
Yeah,
south really quickly. It could get bad quick. So I was
yeah.
still coming every day, checking the facility, mail drop-offs, things like that, trying to make sure information was getting to where it needed to get. And some days I'd go out on the shop floor and just turn the lights on because it was too depressing to sit here in a huge building with no lights on, no activities. And
Wow.
sometimes you just had to feel like, no, there's still hope we're going to come back from this. So
Mhm.
we've all stayed pretty positive through it, though. I mean, it's been difficult. We've had furloughs and reduction of staff, and you know, how do you as a manager, we've had to or I've had to change my mindset of I have to make sure there's something for people to come back to in the end, right?
Yeah.
How do you keep it alive so that there is a home for people to come to? And
Mhm.
we have staff that have been here for 30 plus years, so they really are family. I mean, I've been here almost 18 years at this point. I've seen kids be born that are now seniors in high school. They're going off to colleges and looking for the colleges that they're going to, and we have second generation employees on the shop floor as well. It's,
What is the feeling for this in general for the staff? You feel something strange, or all the people is positive, or how do they feel? Do they feel more depressed in a way because that could be a big factor with what's happening?
we've certainly had to, people have to first and foremost take care of themselves. They have to think about themselves and the positions that they're in. There was even when we were calling people to return to the shop floor to build the face shields and then other work later down the line. we kind of had to prepare them that there is a mental anguish or a psychological trauma that's happening that you may not have been aware while you're in lockup in your house and shut down in your house. And we had a couple individuals at the very beginning who just said, no, it's too early. I'm not ready to come back, to take the risk in coming out. And, that was in April. We didn't know very much about the virus in April, how to handle it. Information was changing daily. Safe practices and protocols weren't, nationally known. Everything was still very much unknown. And that was a lot of unrest or unease for people. We made sure everyone understood that if they didn't come back, it would not be held against them. It was, this was above and beyond, normal working conditions, that's for sure. So, and then you have the other side of it. Some of our folks still haven't come back. We have front office as well as shop floor that we just haven't had enough work to keep all of those people, or allow for all those people to come back. We used to have about 60 individuals on our shop floor, 60 union workers, and I think right now we're at about 42. And,
okay. It's not that bad. So you lost like 18 people?
We still have 18 people that aren't here in the building yet. As far as shop floor, we still have probably another 20 between the logistics staff, some automation support, and for other front office staff that aren't back. So we're still about 38 down from, let's say, 138. So, and we're all still the general rule is if you don't need to be here to get your job done, don't be here in the building. Work from home. Everyone's as remote as possible. I've been pushing that from the standpoint of there's plenty of workers that can't do their job from home. The welders, the wood fabricators, the artisans in the shop floor, painting, scenery, and to reduce our risk pool of having introducing more individuals to the building, an outbreak, it's not right to those workers that can't earn a paycheck if they're not here in the building. So stay home as much as possible. And we've all embraced the technology. We have a lot of these, Zoom meetings and WebEx meetings, and we've all found the way to move forward. And I think we're just as collaborative. It's sometimes a little bit of hindrance, especially at the beginning, but we're all now very comfortable with the systems that we have and popping onto a call and sharing information and sharing screens. That was the whiteboarding is what I miss the most. Like, I just want to go to the whiteboard and start sketching with 8 people in the conference room and come up with ideas. So we've had to find the new ways to do that, and there are the whiteboard apps and things like that. So
you can draw on, and
exactly, So I don't get to see Seiler in person as much anymore, but video.
I used to. I can't forget. I used to sit like directly, like through 2 panes of glass, like right in front of. We could see each other every day, all day. And it's not true anymore.
I could bang on my glass and say, "Get in here."
Unfortunately, the phone still works though, so it's still easy to get a hold of.
We've also, kind of been introduced to each other's personal lives much more as well, right? Because Seiler, he's in the same building I'm in right now, but in a different area, so that we could both have our masks off. But when he's at home, there could be a child on his lap. There could be who knows what going on, right? So we're all used to that. And even hearing, I've been in upper management phone calls in PRG, and you're hearing babies crying in the background and kids screaming, and like no one can this anymore. No one. They're like, oh, whatever. It's kids. All of a sudden, a cat jumps up on the keyboard and starts walking across.
That's my case. Sometimes I'm speaking, I start the meeting, and you see my cat, he goes right in my nose. I just start sniffing, and I'm like, stop.
It doesn't faze us anymore. We're desensitized to those things, I think, at this point, which is a good thing, because it allows us just to keep moving forward and getting the work done.
It's good. Yeah, it's good what you say, because it makes people be aware that we all have a life and everyone is different. And it makes us bound in, I don't know how to say it properly, but it gives a feeling of humanity behind this. Because it's not just the guy showing up at the office with his suits And when he goes out, it's you just don't see him. But when you see it at home, you see you got children, he's got cats. So yeah, it's good. It's good to.
Well, you pick up on the things too when someone maybe is having an off day. You know, at the office are having an off day. You're not thinking about all the things that are going on. Like they had to get an oil change, and the shop screwed up the oil change, or that they get a car inspection, or like all those things going in the background. But we're more, I think, aware, as you said, as our team members as being humans and having lives that are outside of the workplace as well. And it's much more, interrelated. And I think as a manager, the one thing I'm trying to pay attention to is to make sure that people that they still try to have that separation, because you still have to turn off at some point. You have to decompress. You have to live your life that's outside of work. And finding that balance was very difficult for people prior. And I'm worried that it'll be even more so difficult for people now that it's as easy as you can put your kid to bed and then go down to your computer and work for 4 hours until 2:00 in the morning and not, you used to have to go to your work to do your work. And now it's very easy to just have your work day be within the time you wake up to the time you go to bed.
It takes a lot of discipline. Yeah. It's really, for me, it was when we started when we started back after the first crisis, just to readjust to that, because at one point I was doing renovation in my house. So you're just working on the laptop. You want to go do your floor, and you're like, but at one point it was hard just to keep that discipline. Be okay, when I'm working, it's this time to this time, and at night, whatever. After that, I do whatever I want. And yeah, it's a challenge I think we'll have to look at for the future.
Even because so much of this now is video conference and meetings and scheduled inside PRG, the Outlook program, you can see when people are available in the scheduling system. So I find that people just start scheduling meetings, and all of a sudden you get on a Zoom call or a WebEx call at 8 in the morning, and all of a sudden it's 4 in the afternoon. And you're like, I haven't left my seat. So we've been
water.
So get a water, go to the bathroom, anything like that.
Yeah.
So we started instituting don't do a 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. meeting. Do a 3 p.m. to 3:50, and be hard on your outs. You got to give time slots in between. And also as individuals, you sometimes just need to schedule a meeting or an appointment for yourself so you're not available, so you can do your actual work.
And for us, when we shut down, the concern for Luc and I and Sean, it's okay, when we're back, what kind of company we would like, and this parts, we love that, because right now, all major people on the office, it's at home, and probably we will keep that for minimum 2 days a week. And we will hear minimum 2 days, around 2 days, and the rest, it will probably work at home, and it's efficient. If people are, like we said, discipline, it's efficient, because we work at home. It's at the office, it's different. It's really different. It's coffee, little talk, many people will come at the. It's very different. But
I miss the office chit chat, though. I miss that.
Yeah, we love that too. Yeah, we love that too.
Miss the, hey, what'd you do this weekend? That type of thing. But,
it's a different, because when you're at the office, it's a different type of energy too. Because since you're together, something go faster, but some others go way slower. So if I have a task, if I'm home alone, it's easy. It's just go. But it's different. I think it's a good mix that we'll go to the future with that. Yeah. And just a question on this: how long were you closed when everything happened? So for us, we were closed March 16th until May. But for you guys,
the New York governor shut us down March 20th. So we prior to March 20th, we had phased reductions in staff. We had to go to 75%, 50%, and then 25% had come up. And as we were figuring out the list of the 25%, 0% hit. So it was oh, well, that became easier. So
Yeah.
One day.
everyone's gone. I remember March
24
20th that we had 3 containers loading that day for a high-profile client going to Australia. And I had to go out just after lunch and said, look, we'll have a shop meeting right after lunch with my operations teams. And we gathered everyone around, said, look, guys, this morning we were told by New York State that we need to shut down. We're a non-essential business. You know, we can finish out the workday. We've still 3 containers still to load today. And, you know, we talked about the virus at that point a little bit, what was happening and when we thought, you know, we might return. But so look, you guys can see what's happening here. We are a business based off of mass gatherings of people. That's the one thing that the government right now and all the doctors and scientists are saying we should not do is mass gatherings of people. So that severely inhibits our ability to do our job, and our clients' ability to produce work to hire us for. I said, look, we are no longer in the entertainment business. We're no longer in the entertainment market. We're in any market. We are a custom manufacturer here at the Scenic Shop for PRG. We have welders, we have CNC machines, metal lathes, metal mills, water jet machines, routers. We have artisans, we have wood carpenters, fine wood carpenters. We will do anything and everything. We are a manufacturer at this point. We'll manufacture anything. So luckily, my partner, Mark Peterson, he's in charge of sales and business development. He's general manager of sales and business development. And he really he went in that route of, we can build anything. What needs to be built? Let's go build it. So out there. And we're also fortunate with the vast amount of sales contacts that PRG has throughout the not only our country, but the world, that we're able to pull upon all the sales folks that are out there, that they were all of a sudden left with, what is it that we can sell? No one wanted lighting. No one wanted, audio equipment or video equipment. Like the markets were gone for that. So they all of a sudden saw, oh, you guys can manufacture anything. Can you build this? Can you build this? Can you build it? Yes, anything. If we can't, we'll find who can, and we'll make, we'll be the middleman, that type of thing. So so we were shut down for, I think it was about 3 weeks before we got the contract for the masks and the shields. The shields. And then we came back with a crew of about 20 individuals came back to the building, a mix of union, non-union, front office employees, people that weren't on furlough that were coming in. One of our estimators was coming in and building shields. It's like you drop down to, I hate to say it core, but you drop down to the minimum that you need to keep the business sustained and moving forward. So there's, as I spoke about before, that home for people to come back to in the end.
What is your feeling for example for the next years and 2 years? You have an idea right now the probability of the comeback?
Early on, I'll speak a little bit about our core market here at Scenic Technologies, which is the Broadway market. We knew pretty early on, in March, when they're saying, oh, well, the shows will be open. First, there's like Broadway will open in June, I think it was. And then July, we're like, it's not happening. It's not, and then it moved to, September next, and then January. And by the time July had rolled around, probably earlier than that, I'd say by the time May of 2020 was there, we're shut down until September of next year. Broadway isn't happening. There's no, when will people feel comfortable to buy a ticket, right, in the masses? And really, the Broadway market doesn't operate unless 80% of the tickets are sold for each performance. That's the general kind of break-even point of the show. So
and right now, if you really kind of want to do a show, it's like 50% maximum.
Yeah,
exactly. We heard that a lot of theater owners were trying to reconfigure their theaters and just try different seating configurations to conform to all of the rules, and it just wasn't working. They couldn't make they can't make those kinds of numbers work. It doesn't.
You also, everyone, there's the business side of it, but then there's what is practical and what is safe, and throwing, think about the Broadway theaters that were built in the 1920s as vaudeville houses, right? And we've now packed so much equipment into these theaters that never existed, right? And they were like gaslight, or gas lamp houses back in the day. And now we have moving lights everywhere. We have LED lights everywhere. We have audio equipment that never existed when these theaters were built. Like speaker systems weren't even thought of back then, right? And so we've packed all that as well as the background support equipment into these little theaters on Broadway. And real estate is such a premium in the city. Now think about the tight quarters of working environment, like the costume people, the wig people, like everyone's just packed into these little spaces. Like my office right here, I got a 10 by 15 office, and this would be larger than any wig department in the city in any of those theaters, and they'd have 8 to 9 people working in this space. It's like, how is that ever going to work with social distancing and trying to keep people safe? We knew until a vaccine could really come about, nothing was really going to move as far as that. But we have seen, we've put shows in. We've actually produced or worked with producers to build scenery and install scenery into theaters in New York City that were then videotaped, because everyone was trying to consume. Everyone needed content, right, for television, for streaming platforms, things like that. So that became helpful for us. We've done one movie or one Broadway-esque show that was filmed directly for streaming, and we have another one coming up, and there's been a couple more that are in process. So we see that happening. That's nice because we see our community, our Broadway community, getting work and people kind of returning, which is nice. We know it's not sustainable at the levels that it was prior for people, but it's something at least, and it allows us to connect with some individuals we wouldn't normally see, which is nice as well.
Yeah. Okay. And that is the same feeling for everywhere around the world for PRG, you think?
No. So PRG, we pivoted to in all the other disciplines, all the other locations, and the disciplines. We've created a lot of live streaming opportunities. We've created XR stages, which are extended reality stages.
Yeah.
We have LA, Las Vegas, and Nashville, and we're developing another one in New Jersey right now to serve the Manhattan tri-state area market. These are highly sophisticated. I mean, they have when I started being shown what it was that they're actually doing, it's pretty amazing. The level of technology and integration of creating a LED environment with all of the video content synchronized to the location of the cameras, the location of the performers, all the lighting, creating and synchronized, and it's all being synced in this virtual reality environment, so that as the camera pans or tilts, the background image is panning as well. So it looks like you're moving around the environment.
Good.
Yeah.
Is the drive? Is it because I don't know if you watch The Mandalorian, the Star Wars series?
Yeah. Okay.
They kind of shoot like what they call the volume. Is it kind of the same principle?
Oh, I'm not sure. I haven't seen how they do that. But one of our first performances that we did was Katy Perry from American Idol in our studio in LA, and it was massive success. And that's artists started calling. The artists are out there trying to figure out how to stay connected with their audiences, right? So another company that PRG was helping to create this virtual crowds, where the Metallica recently had a performance where they had audience members right there with them, in the studio on screens, and there was no latency. Everything's about latency, right? Like you're going across the internet, how you don't want that delay that's happening. We probably have a little bit of a delay here right now as well, right? But that's what kind of leaves it in this environment. But the quicker the response or the lower latency you can get to, the more the experience just becomes real. And our virtual crowds are really bringing that about as well. And even the corporate markets now are looking to introduce that virtual crowd for the CEOs to have discussions with people. It's how do you elevate live streaming now, right? That's what everyone's looking for. And we've really been able to take the technology that existed inside of PRG, not only the physical technology, but the intellectual technology, the knowledge and we have some phenomenal people that work with us on our team, and they just started thinking outside the box and integrating it. You spoke a little bit earlier about what company do you want to be coming back from this? And very early on, our senior leadership, Jerry Harris, our CEO, was bringing that about to us. We started a management call at 11:30 a.m. every day that we've had every day since probably March 25th or so. And it was all of a sudden, I now know 80% more individuals inside my own company than I ever did prior. We are calling each other, chatting with each other all the time, interdisciplines, intermarkets. The market verticals are kind of, I wouldn't say shattered at this point, but we understand each other's markets better. We understand where each other fits in. We know the individuals to call now. So we will most definitely come out of this a stronger, better company.
Yeah.
And that's been pretty awesome to see, actually. That's been the uplifting portion of this whole thing. I say pressure makes diamonds, and I think out of this, the pressure of COVID is going to help a lot of companies actually be stronger.
That's good. That's good.
It's great.
Yeah,
it's great.
And I'm just for the virtual shows. For me, it's a concern for the public. Let's say, because I'm thinking on the long terms, let's say for me, I watch a show on my laptop. Let's say I'm trying to look for my words, but let's say they will need on the other parts create a laptop or something that create the experience for the person. Because in a way, at one point, it will become dull if it's always stay on the laptop. You see what I mean? Because the sound, you don't have the same feeling, the same experience. Except if you have like a sound system in your house with like lighting, but
it depends on how much money you have, right?
Yeah. So
we saw, actually, I believe it was last week, maybe the week before, Sony in their consumer products division started releasing a product line. It might have been prior to that, but I saw it last week. They started releasing essentially LED tiles that we typically use in the touring markets and the corporate markets, the individual pixel LED tiles. They started releasing a consumer version of that for people to build out their homes and build seamless LED walls and more immersive environments in their own homes. That's obviously at a particular price point, so it's not mass market consumers. But when you think about it, you can go to Walmart and buy an 80-inch television now for $500. Things like that. It's like maybe it's not the newest technology or the most ultra part of the line, but like you can get big televisions now. But totally agree with you. I don't think the live entertainment business will ever be replaced. The trick is, how do you take this live streaming technology and use it as a vehicle to increase the experience or the desire for people to buy tickets to live events?
Yeah.
Like, how do you use that to get there? And I kind of think of this, what did people think? What did the newspaper divisions or what did entertainment, the vaudeville entertainers think of, or these traveling sideshows think of when at the invention of television? Where, like everyone was now they used to have to go to a venue to see what they were doing. Now, television, people said, oh, well, I pay this much a month to watch television. I don't have to go see those shows as much anymore. So, like, I don't think this is the first time in our history that we've had to overcome these things as live entertainment. If you think about, what they say, acting is the oldest profession. It's been around forever. But I'm sure all throughout history, there's been these moments in time where people weren't paying to go see live entertainment, but it's still sustained throughout history. Like nothing quite replaces that moment when you're watching a performance and, the hair in the back of your neck stands up or the goosebumps come over because you're just like, there's an energy that you can't be replaced. Yeah. That comes from a live audience. That's it. And so
That's the energy. But maybe at one point they'll be able, let's say because I bought like a VR headset, the Oculus one.
Yeah.
And it's kind of scary and nice at the same time, but maybe they'll have like something that you can create and it bring you kind of close to the experience. You don't have the crowd feeling, but maybe you can have like the show feeling, or because you're like in the virtual reality. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, there's certainly people working on that level of technology right now, and it exists. It already exists in actually live streaming for like conferences. So you could sit in your conference room, or you could sit in your house. You could put on the headset and sit down as if you're in your conference room and all the individuals around the board table. So like that exists. But yes, bringing that to more mass market of how do you, and interesting, like you do that. Do you get to still pay a different price for your ticket to see that performance? So if you want to be 8-row center, do you pay one price? But if you're fine at the nosebleed section, is it a different price? And that's the VR,
VR
stage. For $3 or for $1, you can sit in the nosebleed section and watch the performance. If for $20, you can sit down here and 8-row center and watch a performance. Like you're not limited by the number of seats anymore, right? You can, as long as you stream it out and you create 3 or 4 different packages. First off, I would hope everyone has a center seat at that point now, right? No one's looking at like obstructed view from stage left.
You see everything, and because it could be, in a way, I think it could be. We don't want that necessarily for the technician and all the gears, but it could be more profitable for the artists.
Yes,
because you can touch like 20 million people instead of going in an arena for 10, 15, 12,000 people.
Exactly.
You have to carry the crew, the food, the truck, the bus. Like, I don't know. I don't want that, because I think the experience, the live, the feeling, the hugging people, the just enjoying the experience is way much better for the soul in a way.
Well, wonder if it goes the direction of you have this as the virtual experience, and then the artist is doing more intimate venues. They're doing the 3,000 person venue, and maybe that ticket is a lot of money though. Maybe that's an $800 ticket, but you're sitting there seeing your performer in a more intimate venue. I don't know. Who knows where any of this could go, right? It's if you can divorce yourself of the financial implications for our company and the financial implications for our employees and our team members, it can be an exciting time to think about, like, there are no limits right now other than the governmental regulations and limits as to what, how many people we can have around. But as far as like, you can rewrite what the industry is right now and what direction it goes. And I don't know. I know that people like Live Nation and those tour promoters, they're itching to get people back in the venues. Like that's the only way their business survives currently, right? And they need those people back. We want those people back. You want to build trust for them. I want to, rent them lights and build them stages and everything else. But we want that back, and I think it will be back though, because as I said, nothing replaces that live feeling.
Yeah. Do you have a feeling about the what are your vision for the rigging? When we restart, you have an idea for the rigging. Did you think about that? The new. I don't know if we have the new.
You mean like structural thing? If there's less
structural or
I don't think so.
Example, the winches, you stop the wind for maybe 1 year, and when you restart everything, do you need to create something? You need to recertify the winches or motors? Or?
Yeah, we've been waiting, at least in North America, for a regulation to come down, or insurance companies to get together to say the European regulations that exist, or to implement that here in America as well, and increase their safety standards here in America. I think we struggle as one of the larger corporations in the marketplace in being sometimes undercut by people that aren't providing equipment that are of a certain standard. through their own risk assessments or their own due diligence, they're making sure that things are still safe in a manner, but maybe they're not using BBGC1 hoist standards, or they're not using these certain things. And I would hope that as our industry and our unions and everyone else have been sitting idle, that maybe there's more of a push from the industry to increase the demand for those regulations to be followed.
Yeah.
And try to clean some of the older equipment out of the rental marketplaces, to say, look, there's just an end of life on some of this, and it can't be used anymore.
Especially now that things have been sitting for 6 months. You're going to have, everybody's going to suddenly want to do a full inspection because it's just been sitting there. There hasn't been a full show crew in, walking around, oiling things, checking on this, what happened here.
Mm-hmm.
Have that immediate, need to make sure whatever the situation is good to go. There's,
we own multiple thousands of chain hoists in our rental inventory, so we're working through that. What's internal right now that's not out on shows, that's sitting on our shelves. We're working through all the maintenance on all those right now, and we do certify those once a year, those hoists, but we've already been sitting idle for 10 months. And we're going through those and just making sure everything's ready to rent, because what we do see is that for those companies that are actually adhering to those industry practices of certification once a year,
Mm-hmm.
if they start their shows up, they're going to need all their hoists certified, right? So there's not enough CM certification technicians in America to do everything in a month. So it's going to be interesting that's going to be kind of an in-demand service for a period of time. So we're making sure that we're trying to stay ahead of our curve, and we're getting all of ours certified, so that when our hoists that are out on rent right now, when they need to return because they're out of cert, we can push the inventory that we have in-house out on those shows, and then start working on the others, so that we're not, so we can provide a quicker turnaround time on things. But I think that's going to be, there's a lot of chain hoists out there sitting that have been in the air on load for a long period of time.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not what our industry is used to, especially concertoring and like that. They're up and down every day, right?
Yeah.
It's even more than just chain motors. You have shivs and the bearings inside of those shivs, and the winches that the bearings inside of the groove of the drum that's been holding up a 2,000-pound piece for 10 months unmoved. It's like whenever you start talking to an engineer about specific winch specifications and what kind of steel and whatever, they're usually safety factors based on use, right? But one of the things that engineers hate the most when they look at a bearing, for example, is all the load is on that one tiny little bearing, right here, and now it's been sitting there for 10 months. That bearing is probably garbage and has to be replaced.
You get click, 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 click sounds coming up.
Yeah, but to replace that bearing, that's a brand new machine. You're taking the whole thing apart because it was designed with such a safety factor. It was just never thought of this as a possibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So to win in a couple of hours, come back out in a couple of hours after being there for a week. That was how it was designed, not to take it all apart.
Yeah. And for the staff too, stop 1 year is it's. We never saw that, for everybody. Yeah. When we restart and the show business, many people is 1 year's no works. That won't be funny, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the people that when they will go back on the beam in the arena and start pulling points, they'll be okay. And it's gonna be interesting.
We'll restart the motors, the winches, the control, and I think that will be some case.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the control out there all runs off like a little button battery, the little watch battery to keep the memory, energized for long periods of time. But we're going to be a year to 18 months on some of those little button batteries, and we told everyone when they shut down, we told all our production managers what information to take off their consoles and things like that, to make sure there's backups of everything so we can restart well. And even through March and April, the production managers for our long-term rentals were reaching out to us about what startup plans could be. If things were sitting for a long period of time, what issues might they have? Their general managers, company managers were asking them to put together budgets for restarting. Like how long? I was like, look, If you're down for 3 months, this, 6 months, this. After 6 months to a year, it could be any of these things, you know. And they're also then weighing the cost of bringing a crew in 6 months in to run everything for a day. Just do a day of tech to move everything in and out and cycle things to make sure they're clean. But I think we, as an industry, all have to make sure that as we come back, that we're coming back safe, that we're checking over aircraft cables, we're making sure there's no splinters, there's no bird caging, everything's
Then people will, because usually when you're excited, you just want to start back. You're just gonna be let's go. You're gonna skip corner. You're just gonna. And
about that creating issues and accidents.
We need money and we need job, and you know that. I think that is the major concern.
Yeah.
It makes me ask you a question for when we go back or whenever things start slowly. What's your situation on because your crew in-house for the manufacturing, you can manage that, but what's the situation with the crew that put the shows on? So those guys, do they change job? Like, I know some of my friends that were doing tour with me, and right now they're in construction, they're building house, and it's just, do they gonna start back? And that's a big challenge I think we'll all have when it starts.
I mean, we're seeing that even now. Like, if I make a phone call to a particular person who used to run that part of this specific piece of theater, you know, they're in a completely different state now, working on this job that's 6 months long. Like, they have no plans of going back to that specific situation because they've moved on to something else. And I think there's going to be a lot of inherent knowledge that's just gained from the house people that's just going to get lost, and recovering from that's going to be key. You know, like, where's the maintenance lock? Who filled this out last? You know, it's going to be a lot of question marks.
And there's the technicians, but they're, you know, it's at all levels. I mean, how many performers have left the industry?
Like dancers and backup singers or stuff like that. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. It's crazy.
There's not a lot of them have have large safety nets. You know, the backup dancers, the things that, you know, they're gig workers. They're going from job to job, and I feel for them. I don't know where they are right now. I know that they'd love to be doing the job they're doing before, but there's not enough positions out there. And I see so many of our Broadway friends from the forward-facing the audience. You know, they're doing live streaming, social gatherings. They're hosting different events on live streaming and things like that. They've all had to pivot themselves and figure out how to use their talents, their namesake, to still earn a living, still pay their mortgage, pay their rent, you know, still feed their kids. And I don't know how a lot of our industry folks are going to return. And
that's a good question. That will be a challenge, I think, for the company to support. And that's another thing, the money to train back the person. That will be something to think of. And,
you know, no one's going to want to pay
that.
Just us here, when we restart, we spend around 2 months to the normal cruise speed.
Right.
We lagged for 2 months. Just cut the truss and weld the truss, and we've
been fortunate. Our crew really came back strong. They're like, anytime you get 40 plus individuals working on a shop floor or working on a production, you get, you know, the little squabbling here and there, right? But it's been tremendous to see everyone's come back with a really clear mindset of we're here to get the work done. The petty things that used to happen in the past are kind of gone at this point, which is really nice. And everyone's happy to be here. And we're appreciative as management that they've come back. And I had, turn of the year just came up, and I did a little discussion with the shop floor, and I just thanked them for their efforts last year and just for the state of our industry. But I'm also an IATSE member, an IA member, and I said, look, I'll step out as management right now. I'll step in as a fellow, IA member, and saying we're very fortunate to be here and look at our industry. Look at how many of our IA brethren throughout the world are not working. I mean, I don't know I got to imagine it's 90% of them aren't working right now.
We are too. Every job we win, we are very happy because it's one more job that we have. And, that is awesome.
You know, when I had to tell everyone that we're shut down that day, I mean, just you look at it, and the other thing I told them, I said, look, if anyone tells you that they have the answers, or they tell you this is how it's going to be, they're lying to you.
Yeah.
No one has the answers right now. No one, and still true right now. No one has the answers.
Yeah.
You look at our politicians, you look at the people that are trying to lead us through this, and you know, and I say this from a Monday morning quarterbacking kind of situation where like the play's already been had in the field. Now we can critique it, but none of them, you know, we have a doctor tell you this one day, he tells you something different the next day, he tells you something different the next day, and it's like, no one knows. Try to do as many of the right things as possible. You know, I take it, and I think maybe you guys would too, take it more from the engineering perspective of risk reduction. You know, putting a mask on reduces my risk. Putting a mask on and staying 6 feet apart reduces my risk further. Using hand sanitizer on my hands reduces my risk even further. You know, all these things as layered protections just keep risk reduction as best as possible. But you still have to live at the same time.
Yeah. I think it's a question of after all, like what you said, the information is just at one point just to take the choice to live and be okay. We keep going forward, and that's the hard part right now. It's just when it's everything is kind of put weight on the shoulder because you have to adjust every day. But if you keep going forward and just going through your life just by living the moment, if you want, it just creates more. It gets better because you create better relationships. You enjoy more.
We don't need to be reckless with our behavior, right? But you know, I can still put on that mask. I can social distance. I can go to the grocery store. I can go to Home Depot and get the things I need, and I can clean my hands off, and I can go about my business. And you know, I've been doing that now since March, and you know, I haven't been through a period of quarantine or lockdown at my home. And I you know, I know that I'm relatively lucky in that as well. But I've been doing the needed daily things, you know, to keep my life moving forward. But I haven't been taking on the extra effort to go find risk too.
It's true. But it's good to keep a strong mind in that, and I think it will create for anybody, I mean, that choose to go forward, it will make them stronger at the end. And it relates to company, like you said, because I think company that stays in the dark, does it really help them for when it's going to start back? I don't think so, because they will kind of be out of tune of everything that happens. But if you can, even if you're just still there a little bit and you don't have a lot, but you're still there, it's you stay in the energy and you move with it. I don't know. It's maybe I'm too philosophical right now, but it's just it's top of this.
You're absolutely right with the mantra of it's easier to get work when you have work.
Yeah.
So when you're open, even if it's the smallest job, if you can take the smallest job and stay open, it's going to be easier to get the next job. And
Absolutely.
That's the mindset that we're in is, you know, if you have to take something at cost, and we recognize our cost is higher, you know, other companies could take our cost and still make margin on it. You know, we're a large company and we have certain overhead carrying costs and things of that nature, but it's if you can just keep energized, keep your motivation on your careers and keep moving, it's easier to get work.
We have a large installation taking place in another state, and we have 8-9 representatives from PRG there that we know personally, you know, and their protocols just to get on site are just extensive. You know, this is a less regulated state, let's say, but it's not. You know, they're still taking it very seriously, and we're absolutely. This has got to be some sort of example for the future of how people are going to enter this exhibit that we're doing. Right? It's not going to be this willy-nilly thing because we're the ones installing it. It's this very specific situation, which is what we always do. It's a very specific show or situation, and you know they're going to inevitably, you know, those same protocols and and considerations, because we know it, right, are probably going to get translated into. And when you have people who are coming off of layoff after 9 months, and you're saying here's your 6 forms you need to fill out, certifying you haven't, done X, Y, and Z, it's a little bit of a shock. They're like, okay, great. And it just gives a different level of comfort to everybody around. They're not. Yeah. I'm not saying they're getting lax. I'm saying that they're able to work normally. Maybe the 6 feet rule is kind of hard to get over at times, but it's not.
Yeah.
We're moving. It's still happening. I still have a 4 deadline that has to get hit.
Yeah. Always. I was talking about, and that large project. We got it probably. I mean, it really hit the floor beginning of December, second week of December. So, but we had to then staff up for this project. So we had to add a bunch more people to our floor. We had about 22 on the floor, and we've had to add another 20. And from the general manager perspective, for me, it's like, oh my God, the anxiety of introducing 100% more workforce to your shop floor and still try to maintain COVID safety protocols, social distancing. We've zoned our building. I sat down with my operations team and said, look, guys, we need to take this up another notch. I'm like, what do you mean? We're already doing all these things. He's like, we now need to assign bathroom facilities to individuals. We need to pod out our zones even further. So we took our wood shop and we put rental flats down the middle of our wood shop. And we said, you guys are one carpentry crew and you're another carpentry crew. You guys can't intermingle as much as possible. We needed to get to the point that if we had a positive case on the shop floor, we didn't have to shut the entire shop floor down, right? Yeah. So that we could continue moving, because now we're signing contracts, legal documents, contracts with clients that we have to fulfill. We have to provide it on the time frame that we've told them we'll provide it on.
Yeah. And, if you get a shutdown, it's a much harder thing to prove now. Exactly. On the contract line. It's like, well, code was.
Yeah, there's no force majeure on this anymore. So it's so now we can't afford a 2-week shutdown because we have deadlines that we have to make, right? And obviously, if it came to it and we had to through CDC guidance and things like that, we'd follow the law. But we're trying to implement and put all the procedures in place ahead of time so that if you get a positive case, it's a minimalized shutdown or quarantine period for a period. Yeah. So we've had that. We've had since November, we've had 3 positive cases here at our shop. All very spread out. None of them and no one got it from here. It was all from outside. The first 2 cases were very lucky in that the people, before they ever developed symptoms, happened to be over Thanksgiving and over Christmas. So they just never came back to the building, which was great. We've had one person that had an exposure, a family exposure, and immediately as they found out that they had an exposure, they left the facility. They did the right thing and never developed symptoms. And there was only one other individual that had to go on the quarantine from there. So we've been very, fortunate, and I feel more secure as those things develop, that the procedures we put in place are allowing us to continue to operate through this pandemic. Like we're still in a pandemic. Like it doesn't get said very often, and I feel like that's kind of being lost through the news media of whatever's going on at the moment. But like we're still in the middle of a global pandemic, right? Yeah. We're still trying to work, and you guys have some work, and we're getting it done. We have some work, we're getting it done, but we're doing it in a safe way.
Yeah, we have a good sense here. 0 case, and we make distanciation for the people.
Yeah. Things like PRG being a global company, how else do we deploy our other rental assets during the height of the pandemic and in April? And so our German division, they worked with the government in Germany to create temporary hospitals. So they use trusts and things like that to deploy, to create structures. And even here in New York, the Jacob Javits Center that was turned into I forget how many hospital beds were put there, but there's a large number of hospital beds. But they needed deployment of temporary infrastructure, of power distribution and data distribution. So we were able to deploy out of our New Jersey location a full power distribution and data distribution communication network for the temporary hospital at the Javits Center. Yeah, so it was, we have these rental assets. We typically do these festival stages. We do all these things. What do we do now with it? There's been a lot of drive-through experiences that have been created. The drive-through movie theaters, drive-in movie theaters, things like that. A lot of outdoor rigging has popped up. That was used to be on musical festivals, and now it's. What's interesting is that I was thinking about this early on, like that. My wife is the events industry. She does a lot of social gatherings, and at the very beginning, she was feeling feeling for her vendors, and one of them was a tent company, and we're friendly with them on a social as well. And within 2-3 weeks, it was like they were having the best year ever.
Oh yeah,
because all these temporary hospitals were going up, temporary structures and parking lots for restaurants to increase their indoor capacity so that they could spread out their tables out in the parking lots. And the thing that's interesting about it is they're getting weekly rentals on those. Those companies were used to setting those up and taking them down every weekend. So their labor cost was big every weekend and putting them up, taking them down, cleaning them during the week, resetting them up. Right now, they set up temporary structures in April that are still up.
Yeah.
And they've just been collecting cash on it every week.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. Some companies have done better. We have a partner in the print business, and they had a stellar year because they pivoted. They did PPE, face shields. They did plexiglass dividers for schools. They've done all the signage that was needed for all the social distancing stickers and social distancing, media and everything. Like they moved quickly and got a lot of those contracts, and they ended up having one of the best years they've ever had.
Oh, that's good. That's good. But I just want to. That's my question actually. I just want to see with you guys, for the people that will watch the podcast. It's just to see what is because we're a rigging company. We manufacture truss. We work with aluminum. We work with steel, and for us, what we want to provide to the people is just a vision on rigging, just to see. So, what is you guys let's say if we go out of this crisis, we just a general picture of, for you guys, what is the rigging? What is important in that? What's your concern? Does it make sense?
Every time I think about it, I think about like the drive-through experiences. Like there's one place up in northern New York that they were busy every day with just like a simple Christmas tree, holiday lights exhibit, right? Your car is 6-8 feet wide. And, your truss spans, if you're going to have all these patrons coming through, you're not just walking through things now, you're driving through things. So when you have patrons walking through a truss arch, that used to be 12 by 12 box truss and you called it a day. Now you're at 20 and a half if you're lucky because your spans are so much bigger now to have the same kind of, experience walking through this gigantic banner versus driving through it. So I think the loads are going to keep going up. Like the structural requirements are just going to keep expanding. LED screens are getting bigger and heavier all the time, and that's always going to need more structure because now even modern buildings can't support those kinds of loads. They're again looking at retrofitting or some sort of ground support solution. That's just going to send, I think, the truss market through the roof. You're going to have enormous demand.
The outdoor LED screens, right? As opposed to drive-in experiences that can only happen at night because you're using video projection. They want to use LED screens so that they can do, 6 movies throughout the day, so they can keep cycling people to get the money essentially. So we don't rent the LED screen based off of how many hours or minutes it's on, right? They get a rental for the week. So how many times can they utilize it during the week? And what we're seeing with that is that in the past, festival stages, things like that, had LED screens on it. You had a wind load, high wind action plan, and you had to take it down at 35 miles per hour. But they don't want to have the staffing on site to be able to take down a screen when it gets above 35 miles an hour. And they still want to be able to have the cars there when it's 35 miles per hour. So we're seeing the structures having to be rated higher to be able to take more load. Generally, the structure doesn't become the weak point. The screen itself does. So we're also seeing that there's additional structure being added behind the screens so that the screens can tie off to the structure more often so that you can get higher wind load ratings. And even in like New York City, the difference between a temporary install rated to a certain amount versus what is becoming more long-term. I won't say permanent install because it's going up for more than a week at a time. It's there for a month or two, and they're getting recertification each month to be able to keep it there longer. But they can't take it down at 50 miles an hour. They're like, we've had requests that they need LED screens to be able to withstand 110-mile-an-hour winds, 120-mile-an-hour winds, and in freestanding self-ballasted 30-foot tall LED screens. And you're like, oh, okay, well,
yeah,
keep piling the Jersey barriers behind there, right? Or the G blocks and things like that. Yeah, I think the G block is probably a really pivotal thing right now. I think I see it as a basis for so many designs for people who are doing outside.
Yeah.
Those types of things I think are coming about because of the demand to be outside more, right? So from structures and rigging, I think, inside rigging, I don't know that much is going to change right now, right? Because we're not inside doing anything. But during this period, and we also, yourselves as well as us, we're in the Northeast of North America, right? So we think about winter. We think about being outside in a Montreal winter isn't so great, right? To watch it. But
it's not that bad. We have a weak winter right now, so
oh, good. All right.
Yeah.
You got the rest of the states.
Yeah.
Or first.
Yeah.
From North Carolina on down and across the country, from California over, there's still a good part of the population that lives within temperate climates that can be outside. My in-laws are in Florida, and they come back to New York, and they think when it's a 60-degree weather here in New York, Fahrenheit, they're like, oh, it's so cold. I'm like, walking around with a t-shirt and shorts on, like, this is great. This is so they can be outside, through the entire year when you get down to other portions of the southern states. So there is still more opportunity. It's essentially demographic or geography wise. Think about how many more events are happening, south of in the south of America right now, as opposed to the north. The Northeast, it's not a great time to be doing outdoor events.
Yeah, you can, but it's the one we had. Was everybody close together to keep it warm. So
that's the purpose, huh?
Yeah.
You think with that in the Northeast and Northern Territories, as the summer comes about again, how much of a demand or need is it going to be for content outdoors, so that so outdoor rigging and outdoor staging and roof structures and things like that. I think this coming summer is going to be, pretty busy.
I think so too. Yeah, I think so too, because I think people are adjusting right now, and they, like you, like us, we find a way to make it happen. So because I have some clients that call me and say, whatever happens, we do it. Okay. So, that's good, but it's those ones, not the big contract, but still, I'm pretty sure
that paid up front.
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's good. And but do you want to add something, guys, on rigging? I mean, rigging, everybody knows. I mean, it's trusses. But is it something? So because you guys are manufacturing as well, and you do your own automation, if I'm correct, the motors and all that stuff. So for you, I'm sure you will say safety and quality is like it's a good thing for the product, because you don't want it to fall down or to broke after a short period of time, right?
Absolutely. And that comes from purchasing from the right manufacturers, and then it comes from having the correct technicians at your own rental facilities to maintain the equipment, to recognize when it should be taken out of service, and to determine end of life, and when something just needs to be destroyed so it can never be used again. And particularly with truss, I don't want to speak ill of anyone, but I feel that there could be a lot more quality control on trussing when it's leaving facilities, and we're good about it inside PRG. But I see, when you get to some of these smaller festivals out on the, you go with your family and things like that, and I show up and like start pulling my wife by the shirt, like, don't go over there. Go over there.
Yeah.
I see it less in our industry though, which I'm very excited about. I think we do a pretty good job in our industries. I see it more in permanent install, like airport rigging, like the people are doing like mobiles above large open spaces, and then like food courts and things like that. It's like you look up and you're like, that Crosby clip is on backwards. That is like the person that put that up had no idea what they're doing. And, I don't know when or if our regulations can ever get to that level. And people are like, I think they're thinking like, oh, it's just a little sign. Like that sign can kill someone just like anything else can.
Quickly, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Very quick. Yeah.
For sure. He's seeing like people using PVC coated aircraft cable with like gliders. Things like that, and you're like, or gripples or any of those types. And like, first, I didn't even know. Like, you had to like figure out what size aircraft. They sell the gripple or the gliders to the proper size of the aircraft cable. So you had to go out and figure out what size you were going to then buy oversized, so you could get the aircraft cable in with the PVC on it, the coating on it. Like, you had to work hard to do the wrong thing there, which is always hard. I mean, it's interesting, and I think as you travel internationally, you see things certainly differently as well.
Different culture in a way, but it's good. I mean, I kind of like your point of view on this, because rigging is not just the aluminum and the steel or welding; it's the staff as well. Absolutely. And that's really important to remember, because the crew matters. You can have the strongest piece of steel and whatever you like, but if the people manage it badly,
everyone's buying the aluminum and the steel from the same places, right? There's only so many mills across the world, essentially. But I mean, it's the one of the main reasons to reinforce our relationship with Therio is the people. You're buying the same aluminum other truss manufacturers are buying as well, but the quality control, the discipline of your workforce, the quality in which the welds are coming through. We've I don't think we've ever actually told you this, but one of the first times we ordered from you guys and had our first order, and we'd worked with you in the past, but recently in the last couple of years, when the equipment or the trussing showed up here at the facility, we are a manufacturer. So I think a lot of the people you possibly sell to are either putting together a show, and their technicians putting together a show, or their purchasing agents for performing arts centers and things like that. The equipment comes in and they use it, right? Well, your equipment, when it comes to us, it's part of an overall assembly. It's a backbone structure to an overall assembly. We're going to put winches into it. We're going to put chain motors into it. We're going to do things to it, and it becomes our base bone and our base structure and our datum in a lot of ways, of like everything starts off the truss and we add the accessories and the accoutrement. And when that arrived the first time, we had our team leader and our steel shop came and said, "Where'd you guys get this truss?" Like, this is a company called Therio, and we're like, buy from these guys all the time. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's spot on, it's flat, it's all in the proper planes. Everything fit up nice. The bringing the truss joints together, and they're like, look, like we put the first two together. We're like, that was so easy. Let's try all the others to the same connection point. And every truss that they made it up to that same connection point was just as easy as the last. And I will say that's not always the case in our industry. Like, sometimes you're sitting there with a hammer, or you're trying to like jam the truss together. So from our fabricators who are AWS certified TIG welders and aluminum welders here. Like, these are amazing welds. These are beautiful welds. Everything, the care and the pride of your fabricators shows in the end product, and it's something that we appreciate in our partnership with you guys. And
it's incredibly important to us too, because I'm putting my stamp of this is our product, and we're sending it to the client. So they call this because we have this reputation of always finishing the job and sending out the right thing. Like that's generally why we're called, right? And it's very easy to work with you because I'm not concerned. I pick up the phone, we have a short discussion about what the needs are, we have a quote, pretty quickly, and I know you're going to hit the date that's on the quote, and I know it's going to come in right, and I can dial it into my fabrication schedule and make sure it's going to slow through, go all the way through from start to finish. And if we have multiple dates, like I know you're going to hit each one of those. And that makes our lives easier, because now I can go worry about the other thing that we were hired to worry about, right? I have the structure. It's just like ordering a piece of steel from our manufacturer. I've ordered a piece of aluminum that's highly engineered from you guys, and it's invaluable. It's very little. You can't replace that very easily.
Some suppliers you call, and it's more of it's a business transaction. It's okay, here, wait 2 to 3 days for a quote. Well, you didn't get the quote in time. You don't fit in our manufacturing schedule anymore. We call. Oh, well, we didn't really mean it was that date. We meant it was this date. And it's like, okay, I've certainly in the past been not pleased with my delivery schedules from the suppliers, and it definitely feels more like a partnership when we're working with you guys. That you understand our time constraints, as long as we're honest and upfront about what we have going on. You either find a way, or I feel that you wouldn't be you wouldn't feel pressured into committing to something that you couldn't commit to either. Is that when you say you're going to get it done, you're going to get it done, and that I think is what Seiler is referring to there. It takes the pressure off. It's like, no, they said they'll get it to us, and then they'll get it to us then, and we don't have to think about that aspect of it anymore. Where sometimes not trusting of suppliers.
Yeah, and if something happened, we try to talk way longer before, just to make sure it still works with you guys. But thank you guys. I think thank you for those words. It's pretty good to hear, and it keep us wanting to drive this in our company to keep that color.
And we have two updates, and we have a new plan of quality control. We used the pandemic to install that, and we have officially the CWB, the Welding Canadian Bureau.
Oh,
we are certified, and we have Luke, he said hello, and Luke is a welding engineer.
Oh, great.
For the company. We are probably the only company have all this inside.
Yeah.
Plus the engineering standard, and that is a plus value for you guys and for the future. And you know, guys, when you send a PO or you send something for the quotation, every time you are super happy. Every time we are happy. And we are happy when we send a stock and we know the stock is perfect for you. That is my first concern, and Troy, you know me from long time.
Absolutely.
And it's not possible for me. Send the stock is not good. It's impossible for me. And everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. It's not possible. Couple of times I stop the truss and scrub the truss. Is not good for the client, and we saw that in your products before Christmas. No, don't send that for PRG New York is my friend, and absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No, we appreciate it.
For your words.
Yeah, and that some people may see that. I think people could take that differently. That some people say, "Oh, well, they didn't." I appreciate that, because I appreciate your level of craftsmanship and professionalism, that you care about the product that you're developing. There's certainly, I come from a large corporation of PRG, but at the scene shop level and some of our depot levels, we still run the scene shop as kind of a mom and pop operation, owner operator type operation. I don't want anything to leave the door that I'm not willing to put my name behind, not just PRG's, but my own name. Right? Because it's about longevity and a career in this business. It's not about having a job. This is a calling for a lot of people. It's not just a job. It's not just a paycheck.
It's a job of passion.
It's right? Because why else would we be doing it for the money that we make?
It's passion. It's passion.
And for us, just want to say to you guys, it's really a pleasure to work with you guys, because your understanding of manufacturing and the way, for me and for Bernard, it's great, because you're great clients. It can sound weird the way I say it, but you're great clients because you know what you want.
Yep.
You understand exactly what you need, and it's not like we don't have to scrape like many email and call and like, okay, what exactly you want? And after when I send the quote, it's not like, that's not what I wanted. Oh, okay. So no, it's great. It's great because it makes our job easier as well. So like you said, it's really a partnership. We work together and we make it happen. So that's good. We like it.
I appreciate it. I appreciate that. That you guys are. We say up there because you're up there. Like, you got to go get the trust from up there.
Yeah. So, do you want to add something? Or?
No, but just thank you for your trust. Really, I really appreciate, and we will be there in the future for your wonderful project. And thank you for your time, man. I know you're busy. It's more than 1 hour.
Yeah,
it's not a problem. No, it was a fun conversation.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
I hope someone who listens to it gets something out of it.
But thank you again. Yeah, like Bernard said, thank you, and we'll talk soon. And we wish you guys a good continuity.
Yep. Yes, you guys as well, and wish you much work in the future.
Yeah, same for you guys.
And we are one people.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Start together, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day,
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.